The elevator doors slid open at exactly 5:15 p.m., and there was Mark Harlan, stepping out with that hollow look in his eyes. The one that said everything without a single word. I'd seen him navigate crises before, power surges, data breaches, you name it, but this time, his shoulders slumped like the weight of 20 years had finally caught up. He didn't glance at me or anyone else on the floor. He just placed his keycard on the security desk, nodded faintly to the guard who'd known him since the guy's first day, and walked straight out the revolving doors into the Chicago evening rush. No outburst, no farewell email blasting the higher-ups. Just gone. And in that moment, the air in the office thickened, like we all knew something irreversible had just snapped into place. Upstairs, in the glass-walled executive suite, Vanessa Klein was already popping a celebratory sparkling water, her designer heels clicking against the polished floor as she paced, Bluetooth earpiece glowing like a victory badge. "Efficiency wins," she said to no one in particular, her voice carrying that sharp, Ivy League edge. She'd been VP of operations for all of 8 weeks, fresh from some Silicon Valley startup where algorithms ruled and people were just placeholders. Mark? He was legacy overhead. She called it in her slide deck that morning. Too old school. Too manual. Too expensive in a world racing toward full AI integration. But what Vanessa didn't grasp, what none of the new bloods seemed to understand, was that Mark wasn't just another coder in the bullpen. He held the sole FAA-issued personal certification for our flight dispatch interface, a relic from the early days when our company, AeroLink Systems, locked in government contracts for real-time air traffic coordination. That cert wasn't company property, it was tied to him, biometrics, annual audits, the whole 9 yards. Lose him without a seamless transfer. And poof. Our system handshake with Federal Aviation servers goes dark. I remember staring at my screen after he left, pretending to review error logs. But my mind was racing. Vanessa had pushed the termination through HR like it was a routine software update. Automate the human element, she'd preached in the all-hands meeting. Sounded slick. Sure. But it ignored the fine print in those FAA regs. By 7 p.m., the first glitches hit. Minor at first, a delayed sync on the backup servers. I forwarded the alert to Vanessa, but her auto-reply bounced back, out celebrating progress. Handle per protocol. Protocol. That word would haunt her soon enough. Mark, meanwhile, was back in his modest ranch house on the outskirts of the city, the kind with a garage full of old aviation manuals and a rescue dog named Radar who greeted him with a tail wag that said, "Rough day." He poured himself a glass of iced tea, no booze. He wasn't the type to drown sorrows, and sat at his kitchen table. Laptop open to the AeroLink portal he still had passive access to. Not hacking. Nothing illegal, just monitoring the public-facing status page. The countdown was invisible to most. But he knew it was there, 10 hours until the cert expired without renewal. He didn't touch a key. Didn't send a warning. Just watched. His face calm. The lines around his eyes deepening slightly as the first error tick appeared. That was Mark, methodical, unflinching. A man who'd built systems that didn't forgive shortcuts. Back at the office, the night shift was settling in. Young techs like Riley, barely out of college, tapped away at their stations, oblivious until the main dashboard flickered. Sync failure. The screen read in stark red letters. Riley rebooted. Ran diagnostics, standard stuff. But the error persisted. Digging deeper. Certification holder inactive. FAA handshake revoked. Her pulse quickened. This wasn't a bug. This was regulatory lockdown. She paged her supervisor. Tom, a lifer like me, who grumbled his way in from the parking lot at 8:45 p.m. What the hell, he muttered, squinting at the monitor. He tried the override codes, the ones Mark had documented years ago, but they bounced back invalid. Tied to his biometrics, the system demanded live verification. Tom's face went ashen. This is Harlan's cert. They didn't transfer it. He slammed the desk. Then dialed Vanessa. Voicemail. Of course. She was at some rooftop bar downtown, toasting to streamlined ops, her phone on silent. By 10 p.m., the alerts escalated. Our clients, major airlines relying on Aerolink for dispatch routing, started calling. Delays in flight plans. Reroutes frozen. One carrier out of O'Hare reported a near miss on ground coordination. Tom's hands shook as he emailed the exec team. Critical failure. FAA cert lapsed. Immediate action required. But the silence from upstairs was deafening. Mark, sipping his tea, refreshed the page. 7 hours left. He could have intervened, logged in remotely, extended the grace period, but why? They'd cast him aside like obsolete code. Now, the protocol he'd helped design would do the talking. It was built to prevent exactly this. Unauthorized access. Corporate overreach. Remove the certified holder without succession, and the system self-isolates. No drama. Just logic enforcing itself. Vanessa finally checked her phone around midnight, mid-laugh with her startup buddies. Her expression shifted from triumph to confusion, then dread. She called Tom back. Fix it, she snapped. Reroute through backups. But there were no backups for FAA certs. That's not how federal aviation worked. You couldn't hack your way around it. It required human verification, paperwork, audits. By 1 a.m., she was racing back to the office, her perfect blowout frizzing in the humid night air. The control room was a hive of frantic keystrokes, but nothing budged. How bad? She demanded. Tom didn't sugarcoat. We're offline for dispatch. Airlines are diverting manually, costs mounting. FAA's been pinged automatically. Vanessa's face paled under the fluorescent lights. She hadn't reviewed the cert details, assumed it was corporate IP. Now, her efficiency was unraveling the company thread by thread. Mark closed his laptop at 2 a.m., patted radar, and went to bed. The storm was brewing, and he slept like a man at peace with the forecast. The dawn broke gray over the city, and by 6:30 a.m., the executive floor was a war zone. Suits from legal and compliance huddled around conference tables, coffee cups multiplying like regrets. Vanessa burst in, eyes bloodshot, barking orders. Get Harlan on the line. Now. But his phone rang unanswered, each trill echoing her growing panic. I'd arrived early, nursing my own mug, watching from the sidelines. The FAA had already flagged us, non-compliant status broadcast to every partner in the network. Flights were grounding, delays rippling across hubs from Chicago to Atlanta. Costs skyrocketing, pun intended. Emergency manual overrides from competitors were billing us premium rates, bleeding the bottom line. The CEO, Elena Vargas, stormed in at 7:15, her usual poise cracked. Explain, she demanded. Vanessa stammered through her pitch. Modernization, cost savings, AI future. But Elena cut her off. You fired the only certified holder without a handover? Assumed the system would just adapt. The room fell silent, the weight of that assumption crushing. Vanessa's confidence crumbled. She looked smaller, exposed. Down the hall, the dispatch team scrambled. But without the cert, they were handcuffed. Clients emailed threats of lawsuits. Stock ticks downward on pre-market whispers. And Mark, he was up at 7, brewing coffee, then sitting down to file paperwork for his new venture, Harlan Aviation Integrity LLC. Services, FAA Certification Liaison, System Compliance Audits, Emergency Dispatch Recovery. Under Credentials, Sole Active Holder. FAA Verified. He priced it steep but fair, retainer fees that reflected 2 decades of expertise. No malice in his keystrokes. Just business. By 9 a.m., the board was looped in. Elena's voice trembled on the call. This could tank us. Vanessa tried blame shifting. He should have documented better, but it landed like lead. The truth was stark. Mark held the power.
Literally.
And as the morning dragged, with losses mounting into 7 figures, the first overture went out. A hesitant email from legal. We'd like to discuss reinstatement. Mark read it. Set it aside. He wasn't rushing. The system he'd safeguarded for years was teaching its own lesson now. The clock hit 10 a.m., and the panic in the office had morphed into a low hum of desperation, like an engine sputtering on fumes. Phones rang off the hook, airlines demanding updates, regulators requesting logs, investors sniffing for blood. Vanessa paced the conference room. Her once crisp blazer rumpled. Firing off text to IT. Bypass the cert. Find a workaround. But the lead dev shook his head.
Can't.
FAA protocols are ironclad, tamper. And we face fines. Shutdowns. Even criminal probes. Her face twisted. She'd built her career on disrupting rules, not bowing to them. Downstairs, the dispatch floor felt like a ghost town. Screens locked in standby mode mocked us. Green status bars frozen mid-pulse. Riley, the young tech from night shift, rubbed her eyes, whispering to Tom, "How did we not know about this cert?" Tom sighed, his mustache twitching. Because no one asked. Harlan handled it quietly, like everything else. Elena, the CEO, called an emergency huddle. Options. Legal piped up. Reapply for a new cert. Takes weeks.
Or
get Harlan back. Vanessa scoffed. Beg? From a fired dinosaur? But Elena's glare silenced her. Your dinosaur just grounded half our operations. Fix this. Vanessa swallowed hard, dialing Mark again. Voicemail. Each ignored call chipped at her ego, revealing the cracks beneath her polished facade. Meanwhile, Mark was in his home office, a converted sunroom overlooking a quiet backyard. Radar snoozed at his feet as he refined his LLC site. Simple. Professional. No frills. He added a contact form with a note. Consultations by appointment. Rush fees apply. It wasn't revenge. It was recalibration. He'd given Aerolink his prime years, only to be discarded for buzzwords.
now.
The market would value what they hadn't. By noon, the financial hit was undeniable. Rerouted dispatches cost us $150,000 an hour, bleeding into millions. Stock dipped 8% on rumors of operational instability. Elena fielded a tense call from the board. Resolve it, or heads roll. Vanessa's name hung unspoken. She tried emailing Mark. Urgent discussion needed. Competitive offer. No reply. Frustration boiled over. She slammed her laptop shut, muttering about entitled boomers. But deep down, doubt crept in. Had she miscalculated? The afternoon dragged like a delayed flight. At 1:30 p.m., FAA reps called. Voice stern. Noncompliance flagged. Submit remediation plan by end of day or face suspension. Elena's hands trembled as she authorized the first real outreach, a formal proposal drafted by legal. $25,000 signing bonus. Advisory role. No admission of fault. They sent it to Mark's new business email. He opened it mid-sandwich, scanning the terms. Too vague. Too cheap. He drafted a counter. 2-year contract. Full veto on system changes. No direct oversight from Klein. Title, Director of Certification Integrity. Upfront payment. Expires in 36 hours. Bullet points. No fluff. Vanessa read it first, her face flushing. This is extortion, she yelled in the war room.
Tom.
Overhearing, muttered,
No.
It's consequences. Elena overruled. We need him. But Vanessa pushed back, suggesting lawsuits for withholding critical assets. Legal shut it down. The cert's personal. Sue. And we drag this public. Worse PR. Deflated. Vanessa retreated to her office, staring at the city skyline, realizing her vision had blinded her to realities. Mark, meanwhile, took Radar for a walk in the park. Phone on silent. Birds chirped, leaves rustled, a stark contrast to the corporate storm. He wasn't gloating, he was reflecting. Systems thrive on trust, not trends. By 3 p.m., revised terms went out, mostly his, with corporate jargon sprinkled in for face saving. Mark reviewed them over coffee, noting the concessions. Still, he waited, letting the pressure build. Back at Aerolink, the dispatch team improvised with paper logs. A humiliating throwback. Clients threatened to jump ship. Vanessa's calls went unanswered by allies. Her star was dimming. As the sun dipped, Elena confided to me in the hall. We undervalued him. I nodded, thinking of Mark's quiet competence. The day ended with no resolution. Tension coiling tighter. Evening fell, and the office thinned, but the crisis lingered like smoke. Vanessa stayed late, poring over regs, searching for loopholes.
None.
At home, she poured wine, replaying the termination meeting, Mark's calm acceptance. No fight. Now she saw it as a warning. Sleep evaded her. Tomorrow loomed. Mark, conversely, read a book on aviation history. Unworried. His terms were fair. They'd accept or crumble. Midnight alerts pinged. Another airline delay. Costs surging. The company's pulse weakened. All because one man walked away. Credential in tow. And in that quiet act, the true power revealed itself, not in noise, but in the void left behind. Tuesday morning hit like a turbulence pocket, jolting everyone awake to the same nightmare. The stock opened down another 5%. Headlines whispering Aerolink glitch grounds flights. Elena's inbox overflowed with investor queries. The quarterly call loomed like a guillotine. In the boardroom, she grilled Vanessa. Why no backup cert? Vanessa stammered. I prioritized AI rollout. Elena's eyes narrowed. At what cost? The room's silence accused. Downstairs, dispatch hummed with makeshift fixes. Phone relays to partners. Manual clearances, but efficiency tanked. Riley confided to me. This feels like flying blind. I agreed. Without Mark's cert. We were. Legal pushed. His counter expires soon. Sign it. Vanessa resisted. Ego bruised. Demote me indirectly?
No.
But Elena overrode. Your call caused this. Swallow it. The signed agreement went out at 10 a.m., all Mark's terms. Vanessa sidelined. He read it during breakfast, nodding slightly. Acceptance email sent. Terms approved. On site tomorrow. Relief washed over Aerolink, but tempered. Mark wasn't returning as subordinate. He was ascending. Vanessa fumed in her office, packing subtle items, a sign of winds shifting. By noon, the FAA eased the flag pending verification, but damages lingered, lawsuits brewing from delayed cargoes. Perishable meds spoiled in transit. Financials projected 8-figure losses. Elena addressed the team via email. Temporary disruption resolved soon. But whispers spread. Vanessa's out. Mark spent the afternoon prepping, reviewing logs remotely, noting the chaos. Not satisfaction, but validation. His dog Radar sensed the calm, curling up contentedly. The quarterly call, at 2 p.m., was a minefield. Analysts probed. Explain the dispatch blackout. Elena hedged. Credential transition issue. But a sharp voice pressed. Tied to a terminated employee? Dead air. We're realigning, she said, voice cracking. Stock dipped further. Vanessa listened from her desk, face buried in hands. Her modernization now a punchline. Mark watched the transcript on his phone. Expression neutral. He could have prevented this.
But why?
They'd learn respect the hard way. By 4 p.m., HR summoned Vanessa. Administrative leave. She left stunned. Box in arms. The office averting eyes. Elena texted Mark, "Welcome back." He replied simply, "See you tomorrow." Evening brought reflection. At home, Mark grilled burgers, contemplating the shift. Power wasn't about dominance, it was stewardship. Aerolink's lesson, undervalue guardians. And systems rebel. Wednesday dawned crisp. The office buzzing with anticipation. At 8:45 a.m., Mark arrived, jeans, polo, satchel in hand. No fanfare. He badged in as visitor. A subtle power play. Heads turned, nods exchanged. He bypassed Vanessa's empty office, heading to dispatch. Tom greeted him. "Good to have you." Mark inserted his token. The system hummed to life.
Cert verified, it announced.
Dashboards unlocked. Flights rerouted seamlessly. The floor exhaled. Elena met him privately. Director Harlan. Office ready. He accepted. No gloat. By lunch, ops normalized. Clients placated. Mark's new role, gatekeeper supreme. Overrides needed his sign-off, no shortcuts. The company pulsed anew. Wiser. In the weeks that followed, Aerolink transformed, not through flashy AI, but grounded respect. Mark's office overlooked the floor, a hub for audits and trainings. He mentored Riley, sharing wisdom. Systems serve people, not replace them. She nodded, eyes wide. The board praised the integrity arm, stock rebounding. Vanessa? She surfaced on LinkedIn. Vague posts about new ventures, but whispers said she job hunted desperately. Her hubris cost her everything. Mark never mentioned her, focused forward. One evening, Elena confided, "We nearly lost it all." He replied, "Protocol protected us." Indeed, the same he'd championed. Clients renewed contracts, citing stability. Mark's LLC dissolved quietly. His Aerolink role sufficed. But the credential remained personal. A reminder. As months passed, the incident faded into lore. Remember the blackout? New hires learned. Value experience. Mark walked halls unassumingly, but all knew he held the keys. In quiet moments, he pondered, what if they'd listened? But dwelling wasn't his style. The grid, no. The skies flew smoother. A testament to silent strength. Years later, the story lingered. A cautionary whisper in boardrooms. Aerolink thrived. Mark at the helm of integrity. He retired eventually. Cert transferred seamlessly under his guidance. But the question echoed, in a world chasing automation. Who guards the guardians? The answer? Etched in protocol, those who understand the human heart of every machine. And in that, the true blackout was ignorance, not systems failing,